Megadu, and this is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Target. Target ruined themselves over their boycott. We're expecting to see their financial results reported for the boycott period for the first time in the next 2 days, and analysts in Wall Street and investors are saying they're expecting a big drop in sales. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you. Trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. There are a number of articles I've seen on this subject. Most of them try not to mention all of the problems they created for themselves when they went absolutely berserk with 2,000 different variations of Pride Month merchandise featured in the front of all of their stores without inquiring to any of their customers in advance, is this the kind of thing you would like to see? Marketing is all about information and all about communication. First, you get information from your customers as to what they're looking for, and then you make sure that you communicate to them you have what they want. This whole woke Pride Month thing completely skipped the whole marketing process. They should not have been surprised when it completely blew up in their face. If you're the kind of person that just reads a headline, you'd see the headline and you'd say, oh yeah, Target lost money because they had to get rid of their Pride Month merchandise, not their fault. But when you go on and read a little deeper, it starts to become more obvious what's about to happen to them and why. Sales dip expected for Target following removal of some Pride products. Many Wall Street analysts and investors think the controversy surrounding Target's Pride collection could have turned some consumers off from the Minneapolis retailer, denting traffic and sales numbers. I've been covering this for months now. If you follow my channel, we have reports from analysts telling us, yes, their traffic has been off severely. I've also showed you on Reddit social media posts of people who actually work inside Target that are shocked to see how badly their sales are off. Some people say the stores are empty. Some people say the drive-up pickups are off by half. That's just reports from a couple of individual stores. But we do see from analysts who are very careful to measure this sort of thing that their foot traffic is down severely. When foot traffic is down in any retail store, the sales always have to be down, which destroys profitability. Target's traffic to its stores and website has increased for 12 consecutive quarters, even eking out a small uptick of nearly 1% earlier this year when sales were flat and people were tight with their pocketbooks. That was before the boycott. But as Target prepares to release its second quarter earnings on Wednesday, there are many Wall Street analysts and investors who think the controversy surrounding Target's Pride collection, which caused the retailer to pull some of its products from shelves in May, could have turned some consumers off and hurt the Minneapolis retailer's coveted traffic numbers and sales. For retailers and other companies who have found themselves in the middle of national controversies that have become increasingly political and polarizing, Target's results could be another example of the complexities of corporate face, meaning how the company presents itself to the public. Quote, if I'm Target and I want to sell two different people with different values, what do you do? Inevitably, when you do A, there are going to be people who don't like A. There's no easy way to satisfy everybody. University of Minnesota marketing professor George Johns said. We just did a video yesterday, an excellent article on Bud Light, where another marketing executive explained you need to understand where the fissures are in your customer base so that they don't turn into fault lines. Specifically meaning understanding how much is too far when you want to try to push an agenda or introduce a product or service that might annoy or upset all of your regular customers just to get a couple of percentage points of some other customers. That is something any company can put some effort into and do, but it's not something every company does do. The Minneapolis retailer usually has a knack for appealing to middle-class consumers who want to save money but also splurge on some indulgences, said Ethan Chernovsky, vice president of marketing at foot traffic analytics from Placer.ai. Quote, they really get the middle, he said. In the first half of the year, January to June, Target has seen shopper visit growth of 3.1% compared to the same time last year, outperforming other big box retailers like Walmart off about 1% and Costco 1.2%, as well as the wider retail sector as a whole off 0.3%, according to Placer.ai, which studies anonymized cell phone data. Throughout the first half of this year, Target's foot traffic growth has outperformed the wider retail sector. However, it has seen a dip in traffic in recent months. So in recent months, Target's numbers have dipped. Target's numbers, like Walmart, started slipping by almost 1% in April, but then became more pronounced according to Placer.ai in May, which is when the boycott started. Visits to Target were down 3.6% year over year, and in June were down 4%. July saw an improvement from that, but still a decline of 1%. Target leaders said months ago they expected the company to see a low single-digit decline in comparable sales in the second quarter. Some analysts said traffic has suffered because of Target's handling of a media firestorm in May centered on the merchandise the store put out to celebrate Pride Month and the LGBT community. In the spring, a wave of angry customers began to call for a boycott due to items Target was selling from UK-based brand Browlin, which critics accused of expressing Satanist views, and swimwear made for those who identify as transgender with, quote, tuck-friendly crotches that some critics said were meant for children. They also had bibs and other baby clothing with LGBT branding on it. A few days after it reported flat sales growth for the first quarter, Target announced it was removing unspecified items from its Pride collection as a result of, quote, threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. The stock price dropped from nearly $161 per share on May 17th, when Target reported its first quarter earnings, to under $131 on May 31st, several days after Target went public on its Pride changes. On June 12th, it was down to sub $127. It's down about $15 billion since before the boycott. This month, America First Legal, a conservative organization a former advisor to President Donald Trump leads, sued Target on behalf of a shareholder for the company for not adequately anticipating the results of its Pride decisions, which the lawsuit blamed for losing the company money. That is an interesting lawsuit. We, of course, did a video on it. I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. The accusation in the lawsuit was that they put no effort into trying to determine if their customers would accept this merchandise that they put out that they knew was controversial. It is in their financial filings that they claim they will always go and research and check out things that they know could be controversial for their customers. It's not even a standard thing. It's something that Target puts out and tells investors that they're going to do, that this group of management and board of directors at Target just decided not to do. And that's what the lawsuit is about. Target not only came under fire with conservative consumers, it also received pushback from LGBT advocates. In June, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and a group of 14 other Democrat attorneys general wrote a public letter to Target's CEO Brian Cornell expressing concern the chain's removal of some of its Pride products, quote, sent a message that those who engage in hateful and disruptive conduct can cause even large corporations to succumb to their bullying. Target has remained silent on the controversy outside of its initial comment. Some analysts said Target's actions hurt the chain's performance in May, June, and July, when it usually starts to see a rush of shoppers preparing for the back-to-school season. In a Friday note to investors, Joe Feldman, a research analyst at Telsey Advisory Group, said, quote, we're lowering our 2023 estimates for Target to reflect softness in traffic, especially in late May to mid-June, related to issues with the Pride assortment, along with softer consumer spending on select discretionary products, partially offset by the continued outperformance of essentials and gains from strategic initiatives like digital and loyalty. Edward Jones analyst Brian Yarbrough said some investors likely feared Target's decision-making on its Pride collection would have the same negative business impact as on Bud Light, which faced widespread backlash after the beer engaged in a digital promotion with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney this spring. Earlier this month, Bud's parent company, Anheuser-Busch InBev, reported its U.S. revenue declined 10.5% in the second quarter, with performance impacted by the decline of the Bud Light brand. They lost $390 million in domestic sales, the North America market, year over year at Anheuser-Busch over this Bud Light promotion. But that's not their only loss. They also lost a lot of value of the brand because the Bud Light brand is worth much, much less than it used to be worth before the boycott. They forever deeply damaged that brand. In addition to that, they had a lot of unspecified additional costs because they had to take back expired beer. They spent money on extra advertising. They had to do cash rebates to bar owners and even distributors and pay for additional fuel surcharges. There are all kinds of expenses related to it, and now they're about to lose shelf space permanently. While price difficulties probably hurt Target, there are many other factors, Yarborough said. Target is more dependent on discretionary categories like home and apparel that consumers are pulling back on than competitor Walmart, which relies more on grocery sales. A lot of consumers are also spending more money on restaurants and travel as opposed to products this summer. Yarborough also said he thinks that the possible negative impacts of the Pride fiasco will be short-term, as even hesitant shoppers likely won't be able to stay away from Target for long. The customer doesn't have a lot of options, he said. Carol Spickerman, a retail expert and president of Spickerman Retail, said she wouldn't attribute any significant traffic declines to the Pride controversy. Quote, shopper memories are short and news cycles move fast. I'd like to ask Carol what she thinks of Bud Light. Maybe I'll send her an email. Last month, Target named Lisa Roth, who most recently served as the company's senior vice president of food and beverage merchandising, as chief marketing officer. Hopefully she has her head screwed on straight and she'll actually do some research before she does some massive promotion and not have this major screw up again. Tupan Bajki, a Twin Cities retail consultant who used to work as a vice president at Target, said even with companies facing backlash for being vocal on controversial issues, quote, in the end, companies that lead with their values will succeed, Bajki said. So I would expect more careful planning and security rather than a pullback from leaning into social issues and inclusivity. Well, ESG is being dropped from everywhere. Companies are being held accountable by customers and also by lawsuits. A company's values are not automatically connected to whatever the next progressive agenda is. Companies are a place for doing business. They're not a place for doing propaganda. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.